at the end, like the DAO is as strong as their weakest member, because when I involved at so many DAOs, and even like the DAOs that I'm leading, this is so true. This is the only thing that I can say.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of NewForum. Joy and I are always excited to bring you inspiring and brilliant guests on our podcast. We're powered by Newcoin Foundation, focused on fostering the expansion of decentralized social applications, also known as Social 3.0, by forming an ecosystem and a community of visionaries, creators, and investors to spark conversations on the topics of crypto, the metaverse, NFT, and everything Web3.
And on today's episode of NewForum, we're super excited to welcome Viktor Liu. He's part of Staker DAO and educating at Braintrust. We're excited to talk with Viktor about DAOs, Braintrust, and what we need to consider when navigating decentralized communities. Hey, Viktor, we're super happy to have you on NewForum today. And I want to know first off, like, what was your journey like into the crypto and Web3 space?
Thank you for the question. So I joined crypto at the end of 2019. The way I started is like I just bought some Bitcoin and Ethereum, putting into an interest account so I can earn revenue through that. It was like a pretty fun experience. And then I heard about like other projects coming in, into the Web3 and crypto space, like Solana, Celo. And I was kind of curious, like what this is all about, because like I never really understand like what Web3 is, what the ownership economy it evolves later on, like along my journey with all the definitions, because like at this time DeFi was not such a big topic, and also NFT. But at March 2020, like when the pandemic happens, like I was buying Solana at this time, but in a very cheap price, and then Celo. But also at the same time, I was experimenting on Ethereum, like when the compound protocols came, and I was like yield farming because, oh, this sounds very interesting. Never thought about that this is where we, at this time, it will be called DeFi Summer, and I was just playing with them. Like I was kind of part of the history of all the crypto related, and I was like just a normal person playing around, and was not thinking that this is something which would have some kind of impact around this time. And that was my first experience. And now I'm working as an ecosystem growth lead at Staker DAO, and also as an educator at Braintrust, because like my previous role was at a whole price foundation, where I was very responsible about like building incubators, trying to teach students how to run their own startup. So this was something that I was like very passionate, and this is why I want to put like everything that I learned from my previous role into crypto and Web3. And this is something that I'm very passionate, and something that I want to work further into the Web3 space, since like the culture of open source and putting like all the knowledge and to distribute to everyone was kind of very fascinating for me.
Knowing that you have this rich background in the space, I'm curious in your perspective on how NFTs can be an empowerment and exclusionary tool for creators and artists.
Yes. So when I was dabbing into the DeFi space, it was kind of very easy to understand, because like, first of all, the purpose of borrowing and lending, and then exchanging different currencies. But NFT was kind of very different for me, because like, first of all, I didn't really understand what it is about, because at the beginning I saw like some people buying like CryptoPunks and Bored Apes, and I didn't really understand what the meaning was behind that. At this time, I think like it was like March 2021. I can fully remember. So I was kind of very late to understand like there is something more behind NFTs than I thought about, because like at this time I was like buying Solana, and it was like, oh yeah, I think like I understand what it is about. And also like all this yield farming. It was kind of very interesting experiment that was conducting. So that's how I see like the evolving of building a membership, having some aligned interests, and I even myself own a moonbird. So to be part of this community to really understand it. But I realized that that being part of this is kind of very exclusionary, because like for most of this NFT PFP project, there's only 10,000 or even less. So not everyone can be a member. And also because like they are organizing events only for this kind of members, it's kind of very exclusive. And there was like also like what I find like very interesting, but also I felt like kind of sad that this is even possible, even though like I'm kind of a member myself in this kind of community. But of course, like there's like so many projects which was built later on, like Cryptocurrencies and I think like Woman of NFT emerges. So I think like there's a lot of projects which kind of try to really work on building communities through NFT for community, which is actually underrepresented at crypto, because most of the people who is in crypto are like, guys working at tech companies or was very early Bitcoiners, or but less women, less non-technical people and non-binary. So I think like this was something which enables them to build that, because the technology is open source. Everyone can deploy their own NFT collection, and especially like asking a very artist that you really respect and asking them, can I commission you a project for a PFP collection that I'm working on? And this is the price. And then you have a new PFP collection through that. So it's very easy, and you're working on a roadmap, and you're talking with the community on Discord, like how it should evolve, bringing them all together. And even though some of the PFP doesn't have a governance token, the way, because like you're building the narrative within the PFP is actually built some kind of understanding what the community is about. So it's very interesting that you see that actually like crypto says like trying to replace the monetary system, but it also exposed that money is supposed to be more a social construct. And you see when people are doing with PFPs, NFTs, it became more of a social construct instead of a very monetary system.
The last point you said is so right, because if you think about it, we just put like the value to it, like we put the value into these cryptocurrencies, we put value into the communities and also into these NFT projects. And I like what you said that, there's beyond the apes, beyond the CryptoPunks, there's also very beautiful projects, women-led projects out there, and there's so much more space in NFTs yet to be discovered. And you're obviously part of multiple DAOs, and I'm wondering, so what got you so excited being a part of a DAO, and why did you join multiple at the same time, and what has been your experience like?
Yeah, thank you for this question. So I think like it is kind of fascinating that it is so easy to join a DAO, just like you're joining a Discord channel. Every DAO is different, because some of them is like, oh, you want to be a part of community, please verify that you actually own NFT or governance token so that we can let you in. But so it was kind of fascinating, like learning how everyone is managing and governing like their own organizations, trying to grow, trying to build a mission around that. But for me, I think what's really fascinating is actually like the world is global. Not everyone can be part of it. The only problem that I see that the people who cannot join like a DAO or a Discord community is if they don't have any stable form of internet access. But I think at the same time, now that more people has access to the internet, everyone can join this community. So it really helps to be more connected, not only like with your own country, but really from people from around the world, and being global, and you really learn a lot of different culture. And also because like people are more honest about different DAOs that they are involved with. Like for example, Gitcoin DAO, focus is on public goods. And of course, like you really have to understand the culture and telling what defines public goods for the Gitcoin DAO community, because like not everyone has this same perception about public good. And this is the same for other communities as well when they're forming their DAOs and trying to help defining and making sure that there are 1,000 or 10,000 Discord community members and putting like a governance forum, making sure that everything is very clear, or putting on Notion. So to see like what is the current trends happening and how we define and why are we changing our direction. So it is kind of very democratic, but also kind of very messy, but also kind of people are abusing when they are very long and having a lot of governance tokens. So even for me, because like I'm so involved at so many communities, even having a lot of governance, right? I feel like this is kind of very unfair, because like it also mostly the weakest community member has not such a big say when they don't have a lot of governance token, right? So it's kind of also kind of very strange dynamic that I have to admit.
Sometimes I feel like when we talk about DAOs, it sounds all perfect, but you made a really good point. So what if somebody has something good to say, but then they haven't met that, or they don't have that number of, I guess, tokens, and they're not able to have a say? Like, what does that mean? And how do we really navigate that? And how could that, being a part of several DAOs, how can that gap be bridged? What do you think? Could there be a solution for that?
Yeah, so I think like it's kind of very complicated, because like every DAO has their own system, especially if it is an ERC20 token, or it is an NFT, or it is a token from another protocol, which has different technology. It is very difficult to say, because like it really depends on the community and their concepts, what they're working on. I think like people had, if you're like very new and you realize that this is not how the DAO, how the community should work, they have to be really, how should I say, very open to say that this system will not work. This is like how they will damage themselves. And some people don't really want to say, hear that, or there's like a lot of different tactics, like how other DAOs are doing. So we have like soulbound tokens. So let's say like instead of having like a lot of tokens, says like how it should be governed, everyone has like one person has one vote. And this is a possibility which exists, because like I think like especially what's the point of a governance token? Is it because you want to have more governance power, or you want to have more utility on the token? Because I feel like when you trying to separate it, when you say like, oh, if you really care about like how the DAO should evolve, not from a financial perspective, but really from a very social construct perspective, why don't you give up that you can actually sell your token on Uniswap and just soulbound your voting right, so that you really see that there's a commitment how the DAO should evolve, not only as a, I have so much token and I have so much power, I have a say how the DAO should work. Then, I think this is something that mechanism which could work for certain communities, but it would not be a solution for everyone, because it really depends how the communities are working on the problems that they're having.
I'm just thinking, I always thought in DAOs, like, for example, if me and Salimi would join a DAO, we would kind of decide together, like, even though she might have some more token than me, but I thought it would be like, okay, the community would kind of decide. Or also, if somebody has too many tokens, isn't there like a way to say, okay, you have to give up that many tokens to another community member? Let's say you have to Patreon somebody else's that you find is valuable within the community, because otherwise I feel like it seems like there's still this hierarchy structure of the person who has the most tokens has the most like voting power, like you said. Has that been like the experience you had in the DAOs? Like,
yeah, so I think like there's a mechanism which some DAOs are doing, because like you can basically delegating to someone that you really trust on the governance decision. And I think like this is something that can really work, because like even though like you don't really have such a big say, because like you don't have so much governance power, you can be delegated. And I think like as we see like how other DAOs are evolving, because at the beginning, people didn't really have a real direction, doesn't really have a opinion, but the more people are talking, building a consensus, and not really thinking about, oh yeah, I have this token airdrop. And now when it comes to really taking responsibilities, like how it should work, because like not only do you have a stake, but you also have an interest how the organization should move forward. So I think like this can enable the DAO to really be more aligned with the community, even like the weakest, because like at the end, like the DAO is as strong as the weakest member. Because when I involved at so many DAOs, and even like the DAOs that I'm leading, this is so true. This is the only thing that I can say.
Still on the DAO side of Web3, can you explain how DAOs are divided between being a digital cooperative and crypto economic protocol? I feel like we've kind of touched a little bit on these concepts, but if you can dive a little bit deeper, it would be great.
Yes, I think like there was like a lot of division, like how the ideal DAO should look like. Because at the beginning, when you see like protocols like Compound and Uniswap, which just recently has the governance token, it was a very technical protocol with a governance token. So the only people who are involved there are mainly like very tech focused people, developer like people which really understand how the protocol works. So it was not really so much about what is the social impact, how can we pay our members for the work that they are doing. So it was like a very technocratic system. And then we see like new DAOs are emerging, which has more of a social and cooperative type of system. While at the beginning, it was not really that obvious that it would have such a social impact, but the more people feels empowered, they really want to be involved. And especially with the emergence like from crypto into Web3. So I think this is what really enables the people to have a very different perspective, because like if you think about like the Web1 or Web2, and I will say like Web2 as a big example, like you have Facebook, Coursera, like all the tech companies, it really creates value. And of course, like now it seems like all the values is creating into this crypto community, and is like how the Web3 movement kind of evolve in a very interesting way, because metaverse and also, for example, like social issues within DAOs, for example, like impact DAOs are emerging. It really shows like there is more than just a very technical perspective where only VCs and developers are saying like how a DAO should work like, but also like more people which has more basically more of a human perspective, how the DAO should look like. And I think this will be very interesting how it will evolve at the next 5 or 10 years.
So Victor, I also know that you're educating at Braintrust, and I would love to know like what is Braintrust about and what got you so excited working for Braintrust?
Thank you for the question. So at Braintrust, we are helping freelancer getting a job for different companies like McKinsey or Goldman Sachs, especially because like we have a lot of talents, but now because like we are working on Zoom and most people are working on a freelancer basis. So this is how Web3 enables them to have some kind of community to work with. And for me, I'm responsible for educating, helping people find new clients that they can work with. And especially because like freelancer have it like sometimes very difficult because you're going from projects to project, and sometimes you don't really have a community where you're helping each other, making sure I think like especially because like I am from Austria, and Austria has a very strong, this union like entity, but it is very different because here freelancer don't really have a union, and we are just doing, saying like, oh yeah, these are the bad, capitalists. What is different is like you're helping them getting a better job and making sure that you're trying to solve problems instead of saying like why someone is better than the other. And this is what I kind of is very fascinating to me, that this is also something that could exist. And this is how Web3 enable this kind of system.
And I think the future of work is like, because of Web3 and all these new technologies, it's all going to really affect how work looks like. I mean, it's already done that. Like, you're talking about freelancing and has already changed, right? People are working more remotely. And I think that, yes, all these amazing tools in Web3 will definitely impact the future of work. And you made a point about DeFi as a hybrid phenomena between banking, the unbanked, and gambling your next stimulus check. Can you explain this to our community? I think it's an interesting statement, and I'd like to hear more about your thought process behind it.
Yes, thank you for the question. So I think like these two shows like two different extreme from the same coin. The reason is because like crypto enables to really bank the unbanked, because like especially for people who doesn't really have access to a computer, they can also use their mobile phone to do transaction, or basically doing using DeFi products, especially when in the country that they are from are unable to really get access to financial services because you need to have a bank account. While at the same time in the Western world, or in the US, where we have the social security, we have a bank account, and when it comes to crypto falling down and you put all your money into that so that you will be more richer than before. So I think like there's a lot of double standard, because like at the same time you really can enable the world to be more equitable, but at the same time you're abusing the system because you made a lot of research that you can really profit from that, because all the prices goes down and then you really make a lot of profit. So I think like it is kind of for me it's still very fascinating, but also grotesque at the same time. Sometimes I don't know like how I should feel about that.
Somewhat during the pandemic and after the pandemic, things just have never been the same after that. And we kind of like saw all that, so much value in on the internet, people spending so much time on the internet. And so, yeah, it's what it is now. And we want to see where this space evolves. We want to see where all these tools evolves. And I think it's just a matter of time that all of it will come together. I think that our community will really appreciate watching this episode on DAOs and NFTs and just your background and everything. And I'm wondering, where can they find you on your social platform?
Yeah, you can just reach me on Twitter, Viktor Liu 01.
Perfect.
Because
okay.
There's so many people called Viktor Liu. That's the problem.
So we'll make sure to put your link in the description below. Thank you so much, Viktor, for your time again. This was awesome.
Thank you, Viktor, and thank you, Salimi, and thank you for everyone who tuned in today. If you also want to get more involved within our community, make sure to follow us on IG and Twitter. We are newcoin_NCO and also NewForum. And we have a private Telegram group, and we're going to leave all of the links down in the bio. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And we guys going to see you in the next episode of NewForum. Thank you so much for tuning in.